I am not a super fan of Anwar either. Right now, he is the leader of opposition. But right now, we all agree on one thing. Let's agree on one thing. We all have a problem. We got the COVID pandemic problem. We've got the economy problem. We got the corruption problem. We've got also the laxing of justice system on the thieves and the crooks, the former crooks. And we also have double standard laws. Therefore, we can conclusively all agree that we have a problem with this government. Muhyiddin is an utter failure. Why is he a failure? Is he a bad man, good man? I don't want to comment on that. But he is a prime minister who is without mandate. He is a prime minister and a government under siege, where the carpet is threatened to be put under his feet, and the only thing that is stopping that from happening is the Darurat now and the king, who appears to be complicit with Muhyiddin in so many aspects. In short, we all agree the current situation puts us in a screwed position. We are in a screwed up position. This has got to be undone. Now, what I teach even each of my children this: when confronted with a big problem, you do not immediately solve that big problem. There are approaches, there are methodology on how you approach a big problem. The first step when you are confronted with a big problem, number one, do not panic. And in that number one, you take a look and have a 360-degree look at the entire big problem and understand the problem first. Do not even start solving it. Now, after you see the whole big problem, what you do is that you break the problem into the big problem you break into small little problems. You segregate, because each problem have its way to be resolved or its own strategy to be resolved. If you can break it up into smaller pieces, then you can go for what is easiest first and what matters most. So that's the second step, breaking up the problem into small pieces. Then, third step is to prioritize which problem to target first. And I always recommend go for the low-hanging fruits. Resolve the low-hanging fruits first, and thereafter focus on what is priority and urgent to resolve. Fourth step is to come up with a strategy for each of that, on how to resolve that. The strategy becomes easier now because the problem is no longer big. It's a series of small problems now because you've broken them down into small problems. So when you solve the problems, we can know what to do first. Coming back to the problem of government, the screwed up situation that we say we are in. What is the first thing that needs to be achieved in order to start repairing, healing this nation, healing our economy, resolving this pandemic, and putting our systems of justice in place, and putting to account all the crooks who have desecrated our system and sucked out money from our coffers and even spent money that we do not even have yet? What needs to happen first? Can we do anything now with this current system of governance and the king we have here? We can't. So therefore, the first thing, it takes no Einstein to figure out, the first thing is to dislodge this government. First things first, we have to remove the Perikatan Nasional Government, and they must not be government anymore because clearly they fail to administer the economy or to resolve the pandemic. Why? Because it is led by a prime minister who does not have mandate, who is desperate, that will pander and succumb to any form of pressure, and therefore his priorities are tunggang terbalik. He cannot prioritize what is important for the country. He is battling constantly with his conscience and his desire and his vain desire to retain power. Because of this, PAS and UMNO holds each of his testicles, and he cannot move so much. He has a temporary reprieve because of the Darurat, but that's going to run out soon in August. That creates a conflict of interest because a pandemic, full-scale pandemic, will justify an extension of that reprieve that he much requires for his political survival. Because of that, we are in a quagmire. Now, if we look at the strategy of how to dislodge this government, be realistic, don't be idealistic. What is the entity that is most in the most commanding situation and most likely highest feasibility, chance of feasibility to remove this government? It is only PH. Pejuang is solo, Muda is just idealistic, Maju, Siti Kasim's Maju is just idealistic and it will just create problems. It will just split the votes. PH is so far united. There is PKR, DAP, Amanah. They are united, and they have common values and aspirations that the rakyat will go along. Empower them, and do not see PH as the ideal government to run the country. That is not the point. The point is PH is the only entity that has the best shot at dislodging Perikatan Nasional and even winning the election against UMNO and the rest. Therefore, I would put my money on PH to do that first, to achieve that first. After PH, you can also always change leaders again through many other ways. So therefore, because of that, my choice is PH. Because any other option, if I want to explore idealistic option, I'm being too ambitious. We will be too ambitious and we will achieve nothing. We will still end up with the same outcome, the same Perikatan Nasional, or even worse still, if UMNO now rules the country with PAS or whoever. That will be Armageddon for the country, given this COVID situation and the perpetual plundering of our coffers, because we all know what UMNO is about. So I hope I've given my scenario. So don't bother about, oh, is Anwar a good leader, weak, this, that. Firstly, he's even untested. So to me, I'm not afraid if Anwar becomes PM. And if he's a failure, Pakatan Harapan punya coalition will remove him. Even if they don't, the rakyat will remove Pakatan Harapan in the next election. So to me, to test out Pakatan Harapan, they were not doing too bad when they were running the country for 22 months. We did not have the kind of nonsense that we're having today. So therefore, another 5 years of that 22 months, even tak berapa jadi pun, is still much better than what we have now. So therefore, I will go for Pakatan Harapan to take over first. Dislodge this corrupt and screwed up government. Implement first. Thereupon, PH will also want to win another term, right? They have to back up. If they don't back up, then we will end up removing PH again with a more ideal solution. Very simple. Go step by step. Recognize the step. Recognize the essential step. And the first step, without a doubt, we have to dislodge this current government first. Because as long as they are still in power, nothing can change, nothing can rehabilitate, and we are all going to die of COVID.